Hello again, everyone. Irene back with you today with another Hoskowitz Report. Well, today I thought I would start off first to tell you a little bit about myself since I've been doing this a while, so you'll know and understand kind of why I chose to do a special report like this. It's been really a fascinating journey for me. Well, first of all, let me explain a little bit about where I come from. Originally, I am from a place called Weehawken, New Jersey. Now, I don't remember much about it because I moved to the South when I was 13 years old. But I do remember a few little trivia things about it in case you guys like to play these games. Weehawken, New Jersey is the place where the largest, at the time, largest elevator in the world was created. Now, this was created by the same person, Gustav Eiffel, that actually designed the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Oh, anyway, little trivia for you for Weehawken, New Jersey. But I moved to the South when I was 13 years old, and let me tell you, it was culture shock. Major. It's just such a different kind of place, you understand. However, I did meet some really cool people in this class that I took. It was a special class in high school for all kind of the nerds, the mathematicians, the scientists, well, actors and artists, all that sort of people. Well, I met some really fascinating people in this class. And actually, that's kind of what got me going as far as my own career. Well, I met a really neat girl in that class, Katie. And Katie and I often would go downtown to my Uncle Lou's deli. And we would have our lunch and talk and visit. And then, of course, we would always have our hot fudge sundaes afterwards. And let me tell you, I gained weight. I couldn't fit into my new bell-bottom blue jeans at all. It was very frustrating. But I really enjoyed meeting these people. And I also met another very interesting young woman from the South also, Savannah, whom I'm going to invite here also. In fact, she is so wonderful and such a good storyteller. I have a feeling I'm going to invite her to kind of host this show when I'm gone. I have to go on a trip in a bit, so I'm going to have Savannah here. And she's just a great lady, and so was Katie. Anyway, we had a lot of fun getting together and talking about all sorts of things. In fact, one of the things we had in common was we were all dreamers. We had some amazing dreams we would talk about. One time, we all three had the same dream. It was a horrible dream about these two twin tall skyscrapers coming down. That was horrible, really frightening. But we also, all three of us, had this amazing dream about a whole new society almost. This beautiful place. It seemed like it was in the future sometime. But anyway, where people wandered about in the hills, they would have parties, have people come over, share stories and food, and it was really like a paradise. People getting together and doing music and comedy and plays and reciting poetry. Oh, it was just wonderful. Anyway, we were really glad that we had that really wonderful dream. And it was amazing because that experience helped me realize what I wanted to do with my life way back when. I realized because I was a dreamer and because I like to talk to people and understand their stories and try to delve down deep and find out what made people tick, that's when I decided I wanted to become a therapist. But not just any therapist. I wanted to get into dream work, into other alternate realities, because I've often thought, there are many other possibilities in this world. Well, that's really why I ended up here at the House of the Blue Loon. This is an amazing facility here for, well, eccentrics, it's a retreat center basically for the eccentrics, for the heretics, and also for the, the creatively deranged. So, I found this job, this whole work here, to be fascinating here at the House of the Blue Loon, which really brings me to the point of today's episode here, today's talk with a fascinating man. My guest today is Angelo Bruno. Now, he's an author, he's a cosmopolitan man about town. He's the author of that notorious bestseller, The Bad Old Days, How It Used to Be. Well, now let's see. This is a quote from Mr. Bruno here. He says, the authorities can no more obliterate the underworld which they cause than the sun can obliterate the shadows which it casts. I am so happy to welcome to my show today Angelo Bruno. Please come right in and talk to our audience here today.
It's a real pleasure to be here, Irene. And I heard that you were talking to the people in the Blue Loon here. And I heard you talked about Sir Rupert. He's a kick in the pants, huh?
He's a very interesting man.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, I was wondering when you're going to get round to me, because I can tell you the inside story.
And that's what we want, my dear.
That's why I wrote my book, How It Used to Be. See, I'm kind of like the family historian.
Oh, very good.
So you want me to tell you how it used to be?
I would love to know how it used to be. Probably scary.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. In the bad old days, when I was born, they had something called crime.
Oh, yes.
Now, we don't have crime no more.
That's
a little
right.
thought crime here and there, but in those days, it was everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah, it was everywhere. And the thing that people didn't understand, but I did understand, which is why I'm the historian, the people that didn't understand was that the law created crime. See, crime happens when you break the law.
Right.
If there's no law, there's no crime. See, people didn't understand that. The crime creates the law. Let me tell you how this worked.
Yes, please.
There used to be something they used to call the market, where people would buy and sell. That's what they used to do in those days. They would buy and sell.
Right.
And then they used to call it the free market. And that was bullshit, of course, because there was a lot of it that wasn't too free. I mean, there's a lot of things you couldn't buy and sell. You couldn't buy and sell sex. You couldn't buy and sell drugs. You couldn't buy a police commissioner. You couldn't buy a legislator, congressman. You couldn't buy a contract for taking people out. All those things were supposed to be illegal.
Illegal, right.
Illegal,
course.
against the law. But now, just consider this.
Okay.
Like you said, the sun, when it shines, creates shadows. The law, when it comes into effect, creates outlaws. Just the same principle. You can't have outlaws unless you've got the law. The law creates the outlaws. It makes them possible. That's the thing, see? Now, when they used to have this thing called, as I say, the free market. By that they meant the legit market. The market that was supposedly above the law, didn't break any rules. And then there was something with all these things you're not supposed to buy and sell, and they called that the black market.
Right.
See, the black market.
But I remember that.
The fact is, they were all the same. They all worked on the same principle: greed and fear. And the whole thing was find a need and fill it. And both markets, the legit market, the underworld market, same deal. So let's suppose that some guy in the overworld market, he wants to change the regulations because it was a pain in the ass for all the people involved, no matter what you're in. The government want to get in the act and spoil the picture, kind of like a protection racket. That's what they want, like a kind of a protection racket.
I see. Okay, well, please explain how this works.
Yeah, well, for example, suppose some industrialist wanted to buy some government official. Want to make him cooperate, huh?
Oh,
He'd go to a government official and say, hey, you look like a promising guy. Maybe you'd like to join our board of directors. We'll give you $1 million, fee. A fee, $1 million.
Right.
Meanwhile, in the underground economy, some boss says to maybe the same guy. He says, "You do this for me, I'll give you $1 million bribe." Because they don't call it a bribe, but the fact is,
yes.
I mean, this is the point: a fee, a bribe.
Okay.
See the difference? Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Well, do give us some examples or some stories about, these types of things.
I tell you what they used to do. Well, like in the legit market, they used to have to pay taxes. Well, the tax was like a protection record. You pay us or we get you. Same in the underworld market. You pay the protection, or they rub you out, or maybe they have an unfortunate accident.
Right.
See, suppose now this is the way it would work.
Uh-huh.
Suppose Luigi, my brother-in-law, not that he would ever want to do this, but just for example, suppose he wanted to buy a congressman, buy a legislator somewhere. He'd say, "Hey, you work for us, you vote the way we tell you, and you will get you interest-free loans. We put you up with movers and shakers. We'll put your daughter through ballet school. What the hell, you know?" And now, if this congressman is experienced, he's going to say, "Oh, no, I couldn't do that. That would be unethical."
Unethical, right.
So Luigi, my brother-in-law, he might say, "I understand your sensibility about how unethical things can be. Me too, I share that sensibility."
Right.
Suppose I gave you $1 million for your election campaign, so that you could improve the lot of the widows and orphans and the oppressed and so on and so forth. And then the guy would say, you got a point, though maybe it's not so unethical after all. But in case he didn't go for it, and then Luigi might set up a honey trap, like he'd video him doing something compromised, and then the blackmail the hell out of him after that. A lot of people in the lawmakers were under the blackmail of people who'd done that very thing. See, that's the thing, and not a lot of people knew that, except people who were on the inside, like me.
The inside. Well, what has brought you to us today? I mean, this is fascinating.
Oh, well, apart from the fact that I wanted you to talk about my book. But in addition to that, I want to tell you how things really used to work. See, in those days, a lot of things were happening towards the end of the old days. And things began to centralize. They began to concentrate power,
Oh, that's right.
And in those days, there were like 3 pyramids of power. There was like the administrative pyramid, there was the commercial pyramid, and then there was us.
Right.
The underworld pyramid. So maybe I can explain it this way. There used to be a thing they had called the game of Monopoly. You might have heard of it.
Monopoly. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, now this is the way it would work. Everybody starts off equal. Equal money, equal opportunity.
Yeah.
But not too long into the game, with a throw of the dice, like a bit of good luck, a bit of smart, who knows, whatever the hell, Well, for some reason, some guys would start to pull ahead of the other guys. Some guys would start to get more money, and they start to buy stuff, and they could penalize the other guys who didn't get ahead. So these guys would get ahead, and the more further they got ahead, the faster they'd get ahead, and the faster they'd make these guys go until they were out of the game. Finally, there's 2 guys left standing. They duke it up until there's only 1 guy left standing.
Yeah.
It's the principle of the pyramid.
Right.
As you get closer to the top of the pyramid, it gets smaller and smaller. There's less and less room, and there's only room for 1 person at the end. So there were 3 pyramids in those days. Like I say.
Okay.
The commercial pyramid,
The commercial.
which becomes global gobble.
Oh, right.
And then there's the security and the administrative period, which has the judge and the cops and the security guys. That's the Rupert's operation.
Conglob.
That's Conglob, or what's it called?
Globcon.
Global Confidence Conglob.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was us. And we don't have no name. We had a pyramid with no name. Yeah.
No name.
Yeah, well, it was important that nobody should pay attention particularly to us, because we did a lot of work on the underground, you know.
Oh,
Everybody needed us, but nobody would admit it.
Right, right. Well, things are different now, I take it.
Oh, yeah, you know, the kids today, they don't know how lucky they are. In those days, things were just terrible, totally terrible. But now everything is in order, and everything's kind of cool. So
it's different now. Please explain.
Well,
kind of the difference.
Well, maybe I can tell you by means of telling you how our role changed.
Oh, yes.
See, in the bad old days, we used to do a lot of trades, which maybe you might say were a little questionable. We would bring people for pleasure and so forth, and we would charge money, and I'm not too proud about that. I mean, I can understand how people might object to that sort of thing, but there's one saving grace to the whole thing, and that is the bad old days. That they were bad, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But they led to this beautiful golden age we have today.
Oh.
See? I mean,
the new golden age.
Yeah, here we are in the golden age. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so now, my role is to see what you don't understand. A lot of people don't understand today.
Yeah.
Is the guys who are in charge, the leaders of our society, which is global now.
Right.
They had to go through a long period of grueling testing and real-life training before they understood the rules, which they finally made the rules. And by the time they made the rules, they were so good at them, they didn't have to keep them anymore. Because the rules are like a training period. All of those guys out there, all of you guys looking at this program, you got to keep the rules, you know? You can't,
until you get to a certain point.
Until you get to a certain point of compliance.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see that. So for example, I'm one of these guys. I'm one of the guys. I can do what I like. I don't have to. I don't have any restrictions on who I can consort with, who I can procreate with. We can keep our kids. They don't have to go to the state anymore. See, these are the things that you can do if you behave yourselves. And a lot of people say to me, how come is it that you guys like me, people like me and people like the leaders, how come we don't, we can live for centuries and everybody else got to die? How is that? How come we can keep our kids, everybody else got to give them to the state? This is what I tell them. I tell them, you behave yourself, you behave in compliance, you keep the rules, and you too, one day, or maybe your kids, one day you can become like us.
I see.
Yeah, but until you do, you got to keep the rules.
I see.
That's the way it is.
Compliance.
But so now, what we do now, what the family does is my job now, I'm kind of the family historian and the cultural attaché.
A cultural attaché.
Yeah, I'm a cultural attaché. What do you know? Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing because see what I do now. The leaders of our society, the weight of the world's responsibilities is on their shoulders, and they need a great deal of it's a terrible thing, and they need a great deal of relaxation.
I see.
So that's my job. I'm there to help them. I bring them young ladies for cultural reasons. Because used to be in the past they could do it. Anybody would pay, but now it's just a very special
cultural
program. Cultural program, and these young ladies they go to the leaders and they talk about poetry, and they have music evenings, a little drama, maybe a little role playing, and
sounds interesting.
Oh, it's very interesting.
It sounds very creative.
It's very creative, and it's a huge improvement about the way it used to be. So that's pretty much the score. And if you want to read, you've read the book. But
well, the book is fascinating. It really is fascinating how it used to be.
Yeah.
And we are so glad that things have changed. And now things are a little bit more organized.
Oh, yeah.
People know their place. They know what they should do in order to keep this society going.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful
Very
thing.
interesting.
And then, and I want to tell you that I want to. The family went through some terrible, terrible times in the bad old days, but now everybody's happy. Everybody's kept happy, and everybody has to be happy.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Anybody not happy, well, Sarupa gets to deal with them. But
I see.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
everybody else, everybody's happy. Even the people that deal with Sarupa, one day or another, well, they end up being happy too.
I see. It's all part of the same group, and we're all going to really. Well, it sounds like we're all going to live a long time in a beautiful society.
Yeah, there it is. You see?
Sounds good.
What's not to like, eh?
Right. Well, you heard it here with our new friend, Angelo Bruno.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with
what
us
a pleasure
here
it is
today.
to see you. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm looking forward to talking to your friend Savannah.
Oh, Savannah will love. She's going to love interviewing you.
Yeah, well,
in fact, you'll have a lot of interesting stories to tell each other, I believe.
From what I've heard, I think you got a point.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in again today to another Hoskowitz Report with our wonderful guest here, Angelo Bruno. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Where am I? Where am I? You need to help me, dear. There. Thank you.